Mr. Otunga Runshewe, thank you so much for accepting our interview. First of all, why do you think it is important for you to be here in Beijing to attend this meeting? This is a dialogue of Asian civilizations.
First and foremost, let me thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome.
On behalf of Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, and the entire good people of Nigeria, we send our greetings to this conference because we're extremely very excited that this conference is coming at this time. And from the speech of the President of China this afternoon, it speaks volume that the whole world need to come and unite and accept and respect each other's level of civilization vis-a-vis our cultural value, our heritage, and our history. So to me, I feel honored to be here. I thank the people of the Chinese people for inviting me, accommodation, transport, and everything to make sure it becomes a huge success. So to me, being here is an honor.
Why do you think African culture, African delegations and representatives are necessary, are indispensable in this process?
Well, maybe I didn't tell you that. I'm actually leading the African delegation, and I'm also the chairman of China African Cultural Society. So today, a lot of us from Africa, we've interacted and we've seen the value. We are leaving this place with one common knowledge. We're going back home to replicate what we saw in Beijing today. It becomes very important because in most cases, we don't understand what our roots are. And a people without culture is like a tree without roots.
Sure.
So we want to come back together as a people, appreciate and connect to what happened today. So I commend the President of China for his outstanding comment, for his inspiration of advising everyone to come together.
What specific ideas did you take away from his speech? Any analogy, any phrases, any key sentences that stayed in your mind?
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, he talked about appreciating each other's value. Value is key to civilization. And if you look at it, the Chinese civilization has a very good grip with agriculture. Since the centuries. Today, the president is now saying that culture remains intact. That heritage remains intact. What remains for us is to pick from what can help everyone to grow a strong tie of good heritage and values for our people. Our value. Without a value, there's no society.
How do you see this message being relevant to Africa, to African people? Because we were talking about Asian civilizations and that Asia being the sources of many civilization and religion in the world. Africa, I believe, actually, the Homo sapiens walked out of Eastern Africa. In terms of civilizations, though, Africa is also very diverse, I understand, but different, right, than the Asian civilization. So how relevant are President Xi's messages to people in Africa?
You see, if you listen to the president of Sri Lanka, Singapore, they all spoke this afternoon. They're all sending the same message. It's quite relevant because we are all one people in the world. Don't forget that China is about 3/4 population of the whole world.
1/5.
Yes, 1/5.
Yeah, Asian people is almost 2/3.
2/3.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they have a role to play in terms of developing our cultural content. But civilization becomes very key because without knowing what brings us together, it will be difficult to appreciate what can unite us to be stronger and better. So to me, today, I am happy. I'm at this conference. It's a welcome conference. At this time, there are a lot of terrorism all over the world. People are fighting, disagreement. So Chinese today in Beijing, I will call it the Beijing Conference of opening a new dialogue of how we can interact with each other as a people. So if you call it the Beijing, how can I put it, the Beijing Conference of our century, it's equally good.
And when you say our, it also means African.
Absolutely.
So what's in common between Asian countries or Asian people and African people? What unites us?
What unites us are so many. Don't forget that we all believe in our values. For instance, in the Asian population here, Asians, they travel in numbers. We in Africa, we want people to come to us in numbers to appreciate what we have, what we're doing, etc. Also, in terms of our culture, our food, our ideologies, our attitude, we have a lot in common. Asians.
Any concrete examples?
For instance, we have the same set of marriage system.
Yeah?
Our marriage is quite similar. Our educational policy is quite similar. The upbringing of youths by the parents in Asia and in Africa are actually similar. Apart from other things like religion, tribal, that will be different from each other. In most other areas, over 70%, we have similar things in common.
Yeah. What about the Belt and Road Initiative? Many African countries are actively participating under this initiative, and there is a very strong cooperation between China and Africa under the FOCAC mechanism, meaning China-Africa Cooperation Forum. How do you see the same kind of messages tying these initiatives together?
You see, first and foremost, the Chinese and Nigerians, we have over 2 decades of cooperation, partnership, and relationship. With this development, it gives us added advantage to be able to expand those partnerships, to be able to interact in terms of education, agriculture, solid mineral, and of course, the bigger part of it, waste to wealth, which is skill acquisition. We've got a lot from Asia we've taken to Africa in terms of skill acquisition. Even when we do it over there, we come back here to get some equipment to back it up. So to me, I see what is happening today like a declaration. I can call it the Beijing Declaration for a great civilization, for a better tomorrow for all of us.
In terms of moving forward, how do you think some Chinese or Asian expertise can be applied to your country or countries of similar circumstances in Africa? Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa. Are you seeing some valuable tips from this part of the world to help your country deal with some of the challenges you are faced with?
Absolutely. You see, and I must use this opportunity today to correct some impression. A lot of things you read about Africa, Nigeria in particular, they're not correct.
For instance?
Thank you. You have so many arrests. Most of the people arrested in the Asian, in Europe, in American, etc., they are not Nigerians. It's because we all look alike.
Okay.
But if you go into details, which right now our government have set up a probe, if anybody is arrested now, we must find out where he or she comes from. Most of them are not Nigerians. But because we are the biggest country in Africa, it's easier to say, I'm from Nigeria. So that's one. Two, we are very ready. We are open, very flexible. Anything good that can help develop our people, reduce poverty, reduce unemployment from Asian, from the Chinese, we are very happy. And I must also thank the Chinese people. They've been very supportive, helping us to develop some sectors as partnership and coexistence.
Basically, you're saying the Chinese people or Asian people and African people or Nigerians suffer from the same kind of phenomenon, that we look different, so we are just another group of people. It doesn't matter whether we are Chinese or Vietnamese, you are Asian, or for you, whether you are Nigerian or South African, you are Nigerian or you are an African, but we have our own identity and we need to be recognized for that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. You see, most of the West African countries, they look so much like Nigerians. Very much. You can't even know the difference, except if we see them. For us, we are the big brother of Africa. And I want to tell you today, Nigeria has been involved in peace initiative in over 11 countries in Africa. We're in Namibia, we're in Sierra Leone, we're in so many countries to bring peace. So we are the big brother, but we accept that. But at the end of the day, our image, our integrity is very important.
What can be done then? What has to be done then for people to understand the diversity, to understand the commonality, but also differences among each and every country in Africa?
Yeah, that's what I told you. Our president have just asked to set up a kind of committee. Anybody that has a bad image for our country, we go deep to find out. Is he really a Nigerian? We've just identified 2 who claim to be Nigerians, but haven't gone deep. They were not Nigerians.
What are you going to do after you identify these information?
Well, it's a diplomatic issue. We hand them over to their country, to the ambassadors. I mean, we have to respect the treaty. We don't want to do anything but hand them over back to the ambassadors to tell them, look, this must stop. But however, we on our side, we must also do a proper check on who gets our passports. One passport can destroy a nation. So we must be very strict on it.
In terms of art and culture, what can be done in order to help people understand us, let's say, in Asia or in Africa?
Well, you see, Nigeria has one of the biggest opportunity in terms of arts, craft, and culture. You know, when you talk about the creative industry, you are talking of an individual, what an individual can do. And we have a lot of people in Nigeria who can produce so many things. So what we're trying to do now is to partner with some of the Asian countries like China to be able to get some machineries to help them to start producing a mass. Not only the production, but packaging, which is very key. If you have a good product, it's not well packaged, nobody will look at it.
Right.
So to me, the time has come. We collaborate, we interact, and make sure that this declaration in Beijing is for the betterment of African and, in fact, Asia.
Thank you so much, Mr. Otumba Runshewe from Nigeria, for the interview.
Thank you so very much. I look forward to being with you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.